Hey everybody! It's been quite a while since I posted an update and I figured it was about time. I've just kind of been busy out here living my dream and um, yeah, so I had some free time tonight. I should be in bed by now, but I actually took a nap with the dogs this afternoon, so kind of messed up my regular sleep schedule. Um, I am currently in Yuma, Arizona, and when I first got here, like things didn't go at all as planned. I had reservations somewhere else. I got there. It turned out to be like I booked it through Hip Camp, and I've always had good luck with them before. But this place was right in the middle of a residential street, like right in the middle of a residential street with houses and stuff on both sides, and it just was not what I was looking for at all. And the way that it was set up, backing in the trailer, what is that on my forehead? Nothing. Weird. Um, I mean, I could have done it, but it would have taken me forever. And there was cross traffic going up and down the street. And finally, I was like, you know what? No, no, I'm not doing this. So here it was, like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I knew it would be getting dark soon, and I have to find some place to sleep. So I Googled, and turned out there was a Love's close by. That's always my go-to, is a Love's travel stop. I love Love's. Clean bathrooms, friendly staff, food, coffee, whatever, 24 hours a day. They always have ample parking for RVs. If you've been on the road for a while, showers, laundry, um, pretty much everything you can want. A lot of them have really nice dog parks as well. So anyway, when I got to Love's and got the trailer, parked and set up, I started scrolling through my phone until I found nearby RV parks. And when I first got to the one that I booked and that I've been at for the past 9 days, I was like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. They are like boom, 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 boom. We are lined up like sardines here. Like, you literally have no privacy, no, barely any room to park my truck. Like, my truck is parked as close to my trailer as I can get it, but it's still taking up part of what would be another campsite. So if they had rented that to someone else, I have no idea what I would have done with my truck. Anyway, like I said, I've been here for 9 days, and they have an awesome RV park. I've had some great conversations with other people. Most people here either spend the entire winter here in Yuma at this RV park, or they live here year round. A lot of really, really nice folks here. I've had some great conversations with a lot of them. While we're taking our dogs out to the dog park. But tomorrow's moving day. I am headed to Joshua Tree National Park. I'm going to be staying at the Big Rock campground. Is it Big Rock or Black Rock? I can't remember. I think it's Big Rock. I was there a couple years ago, and I freaking loved it. Like, if you ever get the chance to visit Joshua Tree National Park, definitely do it, because when you get up in the park, it's like being on another planet. Like, seriously, they could have shot episodes of, remember the old Star Trek where they're always landing on these weird alien planets? That's what it looks like. The rock formations are like nothing I've ever seen anywhere else. So I'm pretty stoked about that. And like I said, I've been here 9 days. It's long enough. Before I got here, I had been boondocking on BLM land just outside of Sedona for about 3 weeks. Loved it there. Oh my gosh, I love that site that I had created so much. Built a really nice fire pit. It was kind of hard to leave, to be honest with you. I really, really love boondocking, or dry camping, which, for those of you who don't know, is when you're set up with no facilities at all. No water, no electricity, no sewers to empty your tanks or everything. or anything, so you're totally reliant on yourself. I made a trip to the Tucson area to stay at, oh shoot, what's the name of it? Karchner Caverns State Park, which was incredibly beautiful. I loved it there. It's a small park. The campsites are spacious and well laid out. The scenery is to die for. It was just an incredible experience, and I'm really, really glad that I went. Um, since I talked to you last, um, there's been some hard times along the trip for sure. When we were back in Delaware, I lost my remaining senior rat, Loki. He passed. I knew it was coming. It wasn't a shock. I was actually surprised that he lived long enough to make this trip. I thought he was going to pass, you know, months before we even left Vermont, but he didn't. And everybody's like, well, now what are you going to do? I said, well, I guess I'm taking a rat on the road. And I did. But when we got to Delaware, you know, it was time. And he died in my arms. And one of the things that was really hard was leaving him behind. I buried him in a salt marsh near the campground where I was staying. And driving away and leaving him there was hard. As was disposing of all of his, belongings, his cage, his toys, things like that. So that was just a little while before Thanksgiving, I think. And then 3 weeks ago, yesterday, my senior Shih Tzu passed and crossed the Rainbow Bridge while we were in Sedona. That's been very, very difficult to deal with. Bella, and I had been together for 16 years. That's a long time. And she was always my co-pilot on adventures, like always in the front seat right beside me, trying her best to sit on the console, which I never allowed. But Lord knows she tried. So I found a vet in Sedona that was wonderful and so compassionate and so kind during those last few hours. Yeah. The first week was the worst because everywhere I looked, all I could see was places where she belonged. On the top of the back of the couch, in the passenger seat beside me. It just felt so empty, and I was like, at one point I thought, I'm not even sure I can continue to do what I'm doing without her. I mean, we've been on this journey for so long, but grief ebbs and flows. I have a few days where I'm doing fine, and then all of a sudden it just blindsides you and hits you out of nowhere. Just prior to that happening with Bella, I had made a decision to rescue and adopt another dog from a rescue site called Three Little Pitties in Houston, Texas. Did you know that Houston euthanizes 19,000 dogs a year? Like, I couldn't believe that when I found that out. Anyway, I was scrolling through their website. I found Nova's picture, and it was love at first sight. So it was let me see if I can show you Nova. Hold on. Oh, Nova, where are you at? There she is. She's a big girl. She weighs 73 pounds. Excuse me. And that's her couch now. It's a good thing I hardly ever sit on it because I don't have a couch anymore. Anyway, she's incredible, and Adopting her was one of the best decisions that I ever made. She'll never be Bella. No one can replace Bella, but she's Nova, and she's her own personality, and she's an amazing dog. So she really adds a lot to my life and to my travels. Very adaptable. One of the things when I was looking was the dog had to like to ride because we spend so much time traveling. And they said that, oh my gosh, Nova loves to be in the car. So, true, totally true. She loves to jump in the truck and head out, and she's so adaptable that just like Bella, just like Casper, when we arrive someplace new, someplace completely different from anything they've ever seen before, she gets out, she looks around, she sniffs, and she's like, okay, it's my new backyard, I guess. Alrighty. She took to trailer life instantly, as you can see. She owns the couch. I mean, she's just a great gal. So obedient, so smart. Getting her was, oh my gosh, what that was an adventure all of itself. But so Three Little Pitties, not only do they rescue dogs, they fully vet them while they're in their care, whatever the dog needs, whether they need heartworm treatment, whether they need surgery, whether they need rehabilitation from injuries and stuff like that, because a lot of the dogs come off the street, they've been abused, they're seriously malnourished. Moms with litters of puppies that have been abandoned. So they spay and neuter all of them as long as, the dogs are old enough to be spayed or neutered. They start them on a regimen of good, healthy food, uh, good, healthy food, and they're just incredible. And in addition to all of that, they deliver adopted dogs all over the country. So they have two separate transport. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. But anyway, they leave from Houston. They have one route that goes to the Pacific Northwest, ends up in Washington, and then they have another one that goes to the Northeast. So they have specified stops all along the way where adopters can drive to the stop and pick up their new baby. And so the closest drop off point to me, at the time I was in Sedona, was going to be Green River, Utah. I googled it, 6-hour drive, no big deal. By the time the transport was going to get there, it was going to be too late for me to be driving back to the Sedona area on unfamiliar roads. So I booked an inexpensive, pet-friendly Airbnb, um, and started out on the journey. Well, long story short, it it turned into an odyssey, not a journey, because I ran into, I checked the weather forecast, and they were forecasting light snow in some areas. Apparently, light snow has different meanings to meteorologists and to me. Obviously, I left the trailer back in Sedona, so it was just a truck, and Bella and Casper were with me. And we started out on our journey, and oh my gosh, what an incredible drive. I mean, it took me up through Moab, in the area of Moab National Park. The scenery and the landscapes were just absolutely breathtaking. I plan on returning again because it was just that incredible. And then I was worried that I was going to be late because the transport was originally scheduled for 5. The drop off was scheduled from 5 to 7. Then the day of the drop off, I got notified that they changed it to 7 to 9. Okay, fine. So we are, heading on up there, and I got a notification on my phone about there was a traffic accident along my route that was causing a 30-minute delay. And I was like, okay, no big deal. I'm running early. Keep driving. Again, beautiful country. Um, And as I'm going up through this mountain pass, all of a sudden, all I can see in front of me is brake lights, and I'm like, well, actually, when I first got notified, it was 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I wasn't planning on being, up to. I wasn't planning on being up to the drop-off point until about 6 o'clock. I figured I'd get there at 6 o'clock, and so when the notification came over, I'm like, no big deal. I'm not going to be there for another 3 hours yet. Surely they'll have it cleaned up by then. Anyway, coming up this mountain pass, all I can see is brake lights, and I thought, you got to be kidding me. They haven't like cleaned up this accident yet. So there we sat. And I finally realized we're not going anywhere anytime soon. So we're sitting, I was like, I might as well shut the car off. We sat there for almost 2 hours before traffic started moving again. It was like unbelievable. So now I'm the one running behind, and I'm thinking the transport is going to get there before I do. So I got a hold of my adoption coordinator, told her what was going on. She said, let me see where they're at. Anyway, turns out they were in the same, miles long traffic jam, and they were behind me. So I was like, okay, no problem. I'm still going to arrive before they are. Finally, after 2 hours, we started moving again, and I found out what the problem was. A semi had flipped over, and I don't even know what the vehicle was, if it was a passenger car or a pickup truck or whatever, was also involved, because it was just this mass of metal on a wrecker when I went by. And what had taken so long is the tractor trailer had flipped over and was this way across both lanes of traffic, and because it was fully loaded, they couldn't move it for hours. So anyway, finally moving, and I am famous for misunderstanding the directions and mileage, and how long something is supposed to take, because in my mind, when I originally saw it, because I was on the phone with a friend, and she was like, well, when you get there, and you get the dog, how far are you from your Airbnb? And I was like, 15 or 20 minutes, like it's really, local, which is why I booked it. Anyway, get to the drop-off point, no sign of the transport van. So I'm getting worried, and I reached out to my adoption coordinator again. She assures me they are on their way. They said that they should be there any minute. Okay, fine. So I went and parked near the entrance to and oddly enough, my drop-off point was a Love's travel stop. And I thought, how ironic is that, considering the amount of time I spend in Love's truck stops. The transport finally arrived. Nova was offloaded, and it was love at first sight. I mean, it was love at first sight when I saw her picture, but to finally, after weeks of planning and being approved for the adoption and everything, to actually have her standing in front of me and be able to put my hands on her was just incredible. So I got her loaded up into the crate that I had in the back of the truck for her, and Bella was in her crate in the front seat, Casper was in his crate in the back seat, and I got the directions for the Airbnb, and for the first time, I was like, wait a minute, like, seriously, how badly did I fuck up? Because when it came up, my ETA was 50 minutes. So almost an hour in good weather. And when I started driving, it started spitting snow just a little bit. And I was like, nah, no big deal. Well, that spitting snow very quickly turned into, I can't see. Like when it's snowing so hard, you look like you're driving through outer space at warp speed. It's just like, and I was like, oh my gosh, I had not counted on this. I do not have snow tires on my truck, because I really didn't see that there was going to be any need for them, since I was going to be in the south and southwest all winter. Anyway, I got rooted on to this bizarre, I can't remember the name of it now, but as soon as I was told to, in 400 feet, take a right onto blah, 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 just the name of the road, I was like, this cannot be good. I just know this cannot be good, just by the name. And I was right. I turned onto the road. Supposedly it was a 2-lane road, but now it was so covered with snow you could barely see the edges of the road. And then I see this sign, watch for cattle, open range country or land or whatever it said. I was like, great. In addition to everything else that's going on, there could be cows crossing the road back and forth in front of me. We made it off that road, and it routed me on to Utah 128, or State Route 128. And I thought, that sounds promising, right? I mean, it's a state highway. It's got to be well maintained and wider. And no, no, no. That's not what that means. Anyway, somehow I made it. We finally pulled into the Airbnb, which was an absolutely lovely little house, little 2-bedroom house. Offloaded all the dogs first, and what should have taken me under an hour to arrive at took me an hour and 40 minutes. So by the time we got there, it was almost midnight. I'm so tired. I have been up and on the road since, gosh, like 10 o'clock in the morning. It was crazy. We got there, I hitched up all the dogs and took them for a walk. Bella and Casper were really, cautious about this huge dog that was walking alongside of them. And although I'm not a fan of snow, that fresh snow on this very charming little neighborhood was just beautiful. And while the dogs and I were out walking, Nova is very alert, and she picked up her head and the ears went up, and hold on. Oh, excuse me. That was a good one though. Because she heard something, and I'm like, what? What is it? And then all of a sudden, here comes a deer, like this great big 10-point buck, in the middle of this neighborhood with houses and fences and everything all around. The deer runs right in front of us, like no more than maybe 25, 30 feet away. And all the dogs just stood there and stared. And at one point, the deer stopped and turned and looked right back at us. And I was like, what is going on here? Did you miss Santa's sleigh or something? Did you get left behind, dude? And after he stopped and looked, he just bounded off through someone's yard. So that was pretty amazing. Got a good night's sleep. I brought Nova's crate in. And of course, Bella had slept with me, pretty much her whole life. Casper has always slept in his crate. I put Nova into her crate with strange people, strange dogs in a strange house. And I gave her a little stuffed animal that I bought her. And she whined maybe once or twice, very briefly, and I just said, Nova, quiet, it's bedtime. She quieted right down, and we all slept. It was just, the ride home the next day was beautiful. They had forecasted snow in the area that I was in, and then they said that there was heavy snow in Flagstaff. When I got on the road, there was nothing. It was beautiful where I was. Driving all the way down through Moab, oh my gosh, was incredible. We got back home, and so that was that adventure. There's just been a lot of things, along the way. My confidence has grown. My self-reliance has grown. I've done a lot of boondocking or dry camping, where it's just you and nature and your rig, and you're either going to make it work or you're not. I ended up having to, now it's funny because I wanted to escape to the Southwest to avoid the, shitty winters in Vermont. And I get down. I spent the whole first part of the trip dropping further and further and further and further south to stay away from freezing temperatures and to stay away from bands of snow. So it added like tons of miles that I hadn't planned on, but it was okay because I also saw things that I never saw before. And I'm thinking, I'll be fine once I get to the Sedona area. And I checked the weather, and I mean, it was cold. It was like oddly cold in Sedona. Daytime temperatures were in the mid to sometimes low 30s, and nighttime temperatures were, in the high 20s, except for this one week. I looked at the week ahead forecast, and the daytime temperatures were supposed to be, 35, 37, and at night it was supposed to drop down to the teens. And I was like, well, fuck, I cannot, like, again, no snow tires because that was never part of the plan. I never planned on winterizing the trailer because in my mind, I was always going to be in places where there was no need for winterization. It was going to be too warm. And now all of a sudden I'm in Sedona, Arizona, and it's going to be in the teens at night for almost a week. So I've got to figure out how to winterize the trailer. I got help from a lot of people in one of the online, the Facebook groups that I belong to, which has been like an absolute lifesaver so many times. And with their help, I figured out how to winterize the trailer. And in order to do that, you have to drain the 6 gallons of water out of the hot water heater, because if you don't and it freezes, it'll crack your hot water heater, and there goes that. So with their help, I got all of that done. Had to go out and buy $65 worth of tools to get the damned anode rod out of the hot water heater, because that's how the water drains out. Oh my gosh. But the point is, I did it. I felt like queen of the world when I got that anode rod out and saw the water just gushing out of the hot water heater. I'm like, the trailer's going to be safe. I even learned how to bypass the hot water heater so that when you put the RV marine antifreeze in it, none gets in the hot water heater. Figured that out and got it winterized, and so there it's at, winterized for a week. And then a week later, after the real cold snap was over, I de-winterized it so that I would have water and everything again. It was an adventure. It was an adventure, to say the least. I've learned how to use tools that I never touched in my life before. I think I said this in another video. I have gotten stronger, more agile, just from the physical labor of having to do these things. There is no one else to do them. No one's going to come along and help me. So if something is heavy and it has to be lifted into the truck, I have to do it. If I have to rearrange things in the bed of the truck, I have to get my ladder and climb up there, and I have to do it. When something goes wrong, it's not like anyone's going to come along and fix it. So it's been an amazing learning adventure for me, and I'm really thankful, even for the minor things that have gone wrong, because it was an opportunity for learning and for growth. And like I said, I have so much more confidence in myself. I've developed a lot more self-reliance. Not that that was ever really a problem for me. I've learned to cherish solitude and my time alone in nature and with my animals. I've met some wonderful people along the way. So I've been on the road now for just about 4 months, and I've loved every minute of it. I have loved every minute of it. I'm going to make another video soon about the perils of being a solo female traveler. I have a lot to say about that. Let's just say the fear and propaganda machine is fully functional in that area. But that's for another video. Anyway, that's the update. That's all the news that is news. Headed to Joshua Tree. Tomorrow I'll try to make a video while I'm there because it's just such an amazing place. After that, I think I might head to Quartzsite, Arizona. Um, that should be an adventure because Quartzsite attracts, um, you know, multiple tens of thousands of RVers, van campers, car campers, tenters every winter, of people who spend the entire winter there. And some people have lived there for several years. I met a guy here. He lived on BLM land in Quartzsite, boondocking, for 13 years. So, kind of anxious to check that out. Anyway, this has already gotten much longer than I intended. Big surprise there, right? Um, yeah. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit the like button. If you have any comments or questions, put those in the comments box. I look forward to talking to you guys again soon. In the meantime, it is my wild heart and the critters saying good night and sweet dreams.